that part. Now I'm just using those nice long strokes. So now I can finish off these sections. Now I like working from left to right because I am right-handed, and that way I don't have to smear my hand across her face if I do get some black on my wrist. But whatever you're comfortable with, you go ahead and color that hair. Now I am going to be coloring this side of her hair. Now if it's easier to turn that paper around to outline, I highly encourage you do so. I find it's easier for me if I do that as well. I'm getting as close as I can to Mulan's face. And it's still outlining. So this way now I am going to turn it to the side just so it's easier to get those sections and go in nice long strokes. Alright, so I'm just filling that in. So we're almost done. And whatever you are comfortable with is how you should color. So again, I wanted to avoid smearing my hand across her face, so that's why I turned my paper. Now you could leave it like that and actually just not even have these lines if you wanted to, but because I like her hair to be down, I'm going to be outlining this as well. So you can have all sorts of different styles for her hair if you really wanted to, but I do like her to have that long hair. Even though in the Disney cartoon version, she did cut her hair, but in the live action, she kept her hair long. Now I'm just going to make sure to fill that section in with those nice long strokes. Alright, almost done with her hair. This is probably the longest part because of her long hair, but we are almost done. Alright, actually going to turn that paper around. Try my best not to get any of that black on my hand. Alright, so now we're almost done. If you're still working on a lot of her hair, no worries, you can always press pause on the video. But your picture should look something like this now. Alright, I'm actually going to take my brown colored pencil and just real quickly I'm going to color in those eyes. I'm using a dark brown. Color in those eyes. Again, you could have them black if you wanted to, just because in the cartoon her eyes are black, but in stylized versions of her, she does have those really dark brown eyes. If you do have her eyes black, I highly encourage you to keep that highlight right there. Don't cover that up. Just it'll give her a little bit more life into those eyes. now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to be switching over to my bold and bright colors. And I am first going to color her shirt. Now I have this nice yellow. Now this one's more of like a laser lemon, so I might actually hold off on this and use regular yellow. The laser lemon I can actually show you. Let me just grab my Mulan real quickly. So here's that final draw that we had. The laser lemon is a really bright yellow. Looks like a highlighter almost. Now while that is okay, I kind of want it to be a little more subdued, nice natural yellow color, so I'm just going to use regular yellow. I'm not sure if you'll be able to tell the difference here, but any color is fine. This side's just a little bit brighter. It does look more like a highlighter. I tend to lean more towards the regular yellow. Plus it smells like banana, and I really like that smell. So I'm actually going to be coloring this part and this part, as well as this side. All right. I'm going to hold on my yellow. However, I'm going to turn Mulan upside down. And I'm going to be taking my bold and bright colors again. And I am going to be using my infrared. I am going to be drawing a circle here, here, and whatever you do on the right, you do on the left. And I'm going to fill those in. Turn it right side up. And I'm actually going to use that same red to fill in her lips. Just make sure you get all of those white spots. Then the rest, I can use my yellow that smells like bananas if you use the Mr. Sketch. And I am going to fill in her hairpiece. Be careful as you go around those circles. I recommend outlining first and then filling it in. Outline, fill it in, outline, fill that in. Remember, whatever you're doing on the left, you do on the right. And I'm also going to fill in these parts right here. All right, she's looking pretty good. I'm going to go back to my favorite marker set, and I am going to be using my light green and my seafoam green. My seafoam green is going to be used for here by outlining first and filling that in. And same on this side. So now that part is done, I'm going to take my lighter green in my set, which is called Electric Lime, and I'm going to fill in the rest of her shirt. Now we're actually not done with the markers. If you are following along with me and doing the same background that I'm going to be doing, you're then actually going to take your light and dark pink of your Mr. Sketch markers. With your dark pink, we're actually going to be drawing some cherry blossom petals by drawing kind of like football shapes. You can have them big, you can have them small. I'm just having it look like they're blowing in the wind behind Mulan. You can have some really small next to each other, some bigger. And then you're going to get your lighter pink and fill them in. Make sure to get those white spots. Then this will be our final step with our markers. But you can have any background that you want for your picture. I really like the cherry blossoms in the wind. I think it looks really nice, especially with the pinks and greens. We are now going to be moving on to our chalk pastels. Now, first things first, we are going to be doing just a few mixing of colors for Mulan's face. Now, we've got this nice, not quite sure what you would call it, kind of a beigeish color, but we do want to make it just a little bit darker too. But let's take that light, it's kind of like a cream color. So we're just going to pinch and pull on our face. Don't forget this section here. But we do want to take just a little bit of some tan, just a little tiny bit, and pinch and pull on top of that. Remember, we don't need a whole lot of dust, especially with this tan. We don't want to make her face too dark. I want to make her face look porcelain almost. Then we're going to blend. So if you find that maybe she looks a little bit on the too pale side, maybe just add a little bit of that brown on top. And remember, be extra careful as you go around her eyes. But if you do get any of that color on her eyes, you can always take your eraser and erase. So right now she's looking a little bit pale to me, so I'm going to actually take my tan and go over it again, just to bring some more color into her face. And blend. Now, as you can see, I do have a little bit of that chalk dust on her hair. I can easily, after tapping, grab my eraser. So let me just grab an eraser real quickly from over here. I can grab my eraser and very carefully go through with my eraser and erase any parts on her hair that may have gotten that chalk dust. Be very careful. You don't want to press too hard, because if you do press too hard with your eraser, it may tear your paper. So please be careful. Also with her eyes. Alright, so there is that. We are now going to just add a little bit of shading, just so her face doesn't look so flat. I'm going to take that darker tan color. I'm going to add a curve here and outline below her chin. And I'm going to take one finger, blend that back and forth, blend that back and forth. And then I'm going to shake off that dust. If you have a lot, no worries. You can just keep blending. You can even add a little bit on this side too, which I think I'm going to do. That way you have that nice bridge on the nose, and her face doesn't look too flat like Voldemort's. All right. So there's that. If you want to add a little bit of shading underneath her ears, you could do that as well. All right. One thing for sure, she does need that nice blush on her cheeks, but you want to be careful when adding blush because if you add too much, she's going to look like a clown. So I'm going to take my red and just very, very gently just go in circular motions. You can see that I didn't add a whole lot. And I'm just going to take one finger and gently go in circular motions. So already right there, I feel like it's just a little too much, so I can blend and pat some off just a bit. You can also take a paper towel and try and rub some off. But if you keep going in circular motions, it starts to pick up that dust and it won't be too much. So that looks pretty good actually. Just want to make sure that you are very gentle when adding that blush. For that background, you can have any color you want. But before I add the background, I do want to add a little bit of detail to her hair. I am going to take my light blue, go on top here, and here, maybe a little bit more, and definitely on that strand of hair, and there. Because now, oh, and also here too, we're just kind of building that dimension on her hair just to show that her hair is pulled up into a bun, but it's flaring out in like a ponytail. So I'm just going to take my finger and bring that along. So just tracing over it. So we're not blending back and forth. And there we have her hair. All right. For that background, I actually want to do a mixture of some light green and some light blue. So my set right here has a light green and light blue already. So I'm just going to be going over and adding some light green. And it's okay if you go over those blossoms. You can always go over and erase them. So I'm going to add a little bit of light green and a little bit of light blue as well. Just because I want to mix some colors together. So it kind of matches her shirt a little bit. And then I'm going to blend. So that way it's this nice kind of foresty green. I might add a little bit more light blue to make it look a little bit more like the sky. Yes, I'm going to add a little bit more light blue. So that way it's got this nice, kind of this, not quite teal, jade almost, I would say. That's kind of pretty. Now this is going to get a little bit messy, so if you do need to go back over Mulan's hair and erase any parts that may have gotten too much chalk pastel, you can definitely do that. Just make sure not to press too hard with your eraser. Also, I recommend going over and erasing out any chalk dust that got on those flower petals. It's very easy to bring back those flower petals with the eraser. Just remember, don't press too hard when doing that because it could rip your paper. All right, you can leave it like this if you you want to. However, I am just going to add a little bit of shading with my colored pencil. So let me just go ahead and put my chalk pastels away so you can see what I mean with my colored pencils. So I'm just going to put those aside for now. I'm going to take out my colored pencils. I do want to add a little bit of shading to her hairpiece. So I'm just going to flip her upside down so I don't smear her face. I'm just going to add some shading on the top of this rainbow here with my light brown and around here. That way it starts to look a little bit more gold and not so flat. Alright, so there's some shading on that. Now it really stands out a bit more. You can even go in depth with that shading, that's up to you. You can even, if you want to, grab your red and bring some more of that shading into those gems as well. I feel like the red doesn't show up as much, but again, this is all optional for you. You can get as creative as you want. Now, like I said earlier, you can leave your picture like this, or you can even push it a little bit further with some glitter glue and gems. I'm going to go ahead and take out my gems and my glitter glue, just so I can show you what I mean by things that you can add. So for example, here's my gems right here. I can add some red gems to her hairpiece, so I'm just going to add some red up there. I like to add my gems first before I move on to the glitter glue. So you can take this moment to add any gems that you would like onto your picture. Again, this is an optional step. You don't have to add this if you don't want to. And I can also grab some orange or gold and add them here as well. And you can get as creative as you want with your picture, or you can follow along with me. So I'm just going to add a few on this side too. All right. I'm actually going to add just a few more here as well. You can choose any color you want. I'm going to stick with some reds and greens. Red and green are complementary colors, so it'll make my picture really stand out. And now I'm going to go ahead and move on to my glitter glue. So with my glitter glue, I've got this nice set right here. And I am going to take my brush, and I'm going to go for red first. So I'm just going to add some on her lips real quickly. Remember, sometimes that glue can pick up some of that Crayola marker, so you want to be pretty quick with it as you add that glitter. You can even add some glitter to that crown if you want. But one thing for sure, excuse me, that I do like to do, which will take a little bit of time for your picture to dry, is taking this gold and adding some swirls onto her top. So I'm just going to add some swirls for some nice designs and dots. By just squeezing that glue. And leaving it like that. This will take some time to dry, so I recommend putting it somewhere safe so it can dry on its own time. And that is it for our picture of Mulan. If there's anything else you want to add, maybe you want to add some earrings with some gems, or also one thing for sure is you can also add some glitter glue to those leaves. So let me just add a little bit. I added a little bit too much, so I can actually take my brush and spread that around and bring it to other blossoms as well. Bringing that there as well. And there is my picture of Mulan. So we'll just go ahead and clean up our area and set this aside for it to dry. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you had a lot of fun learning how to draw and color Mulan. Please post these on our Fibo Village page on Facebook. We would love to see them. And we will see you next time. Bye!